bring 5-star coverage to a 4-star name. We bring 5-star.
You're fired! What?
Welcome into the Sports Buffet, folks, where you always leave full of sports. It's always a playful right here on 4-Star Sports Media Network. I'm your host, Wes Pruitt. Hope everyone is doing well on this Sunday evening. We're live right now over on YouTube and on our X channel, whatever you want to call it. I got fellow ball guy to my right. Over there. John Sturdivant, DJ Sturt up there at top there. And then I got Blake Hope down there at the bottom. We're going to get to Blake and how he's feeling about Arkansas football here later on. But welcome into the show. Hope everyone is doing well. It's been a marathon sports weekend. My channel changers wore out. Speaking of channel changer, I got it on the MLB baseball game. As we're going to talk MLB baseball tonight, we got drama for your mama tonight. And we've got NFL, as we saw some interesting things take place today, and teams continue to just flat out suck. Then we talk college football, as we've got 3 coaches lose their job today. So we'll talk about coaches losing their jobs, offenses that are still inept in Fayetteville, and much more tonight on the Sports Buffet, presented to you by 4-Star Sports Media. But first, we've got to, well,
what do you guys want to talk about?
Time to pour it up. We start the show with the Athletic Brewing Company, What's on Tap, where we take a look at the show topics. All the taste without the buzz. Athletic Brewing.
That's right, folks. Athletic Brewing we present to you What's on Tap, where we pour up with our friends, where we let you know what's going on. Every sip's a win, even without the alcohol. Here's what's on tonight's menu as we talk postseason baseball. So we got the ALCS going on right now. Top of the ninth, Seattle Mariners lead 3-1 over the Toronto Blue Jays. As we'll kick off that, we'll also talk a little bit of NLDS. I've got some numbers for the Blue Jays as well, home numbers. Then we'll move it over to the NFL as we talk a little bit more about today's games. And then we'll finish up with college football. We'll also get into the Southwest Airlines scores of the week, the SoapBox stock market, and what's on the DVR. And then we'll finish up with the Fanatics final play. So, guys, let's go ahead and crack the bat, as they say, and get this thing going. So let's start with a little MLB baseball. Blake, I'll start with you. What are you excited about? I know we're at the top of the ninth here of this game, but what are you excited about when it comes to the MLB in October?
You know, that's probably about the only time I'm reaching to the MLB. I mean, no offense to the hardcore baseball guys. I mean, I'm friends with a lot of hardcore baseball guys with that. But yeah, October is, all eyes are on the MLB. To me, it's the most exciting time of the year. It's when, I start learning the rosters and figuring out who's who, and that way I can go to Bet Saracen and figure out what bets I can make. And Johnny boy keeps me informed on the baseball front.
Yeah, you gotta watch John. And John, tell your cat to be quiet, please. Total sarcasm there, Blake. I know that's you with the cat. No, your cat's fired up tonight. Well, your cat's excited. We need to get that as
a
clipping things. I like that. Though. You find a team that's spicy. I like
Mhm.
that. That's good
Yes.
down the road. Sorry, we're live. We're kind of off the
Mhm.
rails a little bit, but it's 9:45 Sunday night, October 12th. Can you guys hold on? Can you believe it's already October 12th? It's insane, man. We got college football going on. We got baseball, October baseball, 3-1 right now, NLCS. When you look at the Blue Jays, 54-27 at home this year, 59-34 at night in opening games, 31-21. And home series, they're 17-8-1 on the year. At Rogers Center, this beautiful ballpark that they play at, when the stadium is open, they've hit 60 home runs, which if you watch the game tonight, it didn't take long for them to hit another one. With it closed, they've hit 44 on the night. Opponents 64 open and 55 when it's closed. They are 25-11 in 2025 when it's open. When it's closed, they're 24-14, and they've averaged 35,185 regular season fans or average attendance this year. So, John, I'll come to you as we kind of go around the horn real quick here before we get into NFL. But when you look at the ALCS, John, what's your pick? You got, I mean, come on now. I know we're a game in. No one cares. What's your thoughts, John? You got Seattle, or are you going to rock with the Blue Jays?
I like the Blue Jays in 6. I know they're losing, like you said, 3-1 right now on top of 9, but I feel like the way they've been hitting the baseball, but you got to remember, Toronto went 15 innings with, I mean, Seattle went 15 innings with Detroit the other day, so quite impressive showing in game 1 for Seattle, but I got Toronto in 6. I just think the way that Vlad Guerrero can hit a monster shot and kill some pitching at any time, that's one reason I'm going to go with the Blue Jays in 6.
All right. John's got John has Ric Flair fired up over there. 2 claps and a there it is. All right, Blake, what about you, man? MLB, I know you're not a huge MLB guy, but let's go ahead and make a pick here. You got Blue Jays or you got Mariners?
Give me the just give me the Blue Jays. I just there's just something about the Blue Jays. In Little League, I was a Blue Jay. There's really no rhyme or reason right now in playoff baseball. So yeah, just give me the Blue Jays.
So, John, if you're keeping score there, that's Blake Blue Jays, his cat also Blue Jays. Um, Give me the Mariners. By the way, I do want to say this. I love the uniforms tonight. It's the throwback look for the Mariners and the Blue Jays. I love it as a throwback baseball guy. To me, there's nothing better than that teal Mariners, that Marlins jersey back in the day. Jesus, that's so fresh looking. Anyway, yeah, top of the ninth, 2 outs, man. It's about over with here, boys. 3-1. Man, that hat is so damn fresh. Golly. All right, so 3-1, but give me struck him out. What a pitch. Tap on the chest. Walk off, son. All right, give me the sorry. Sorry, this is what happens when we do a watch along, when you actually watch along and not show it to people. Um, give me the Mariners. Give me the Mariners to get the win. Give me the Mariners in the Mariners in 6. Mariners in 6. All right, let's jump over to the NFL real quick.
Well,
John,
and they'll come on now. Who you got
what?
in that?
What?
Who you got in National League, my friend?
Oh,
The Brew Crew.
yeah, the Brewers, man. The Brewers. I'm a big. I love the logo. Come on, man. A Brewers Mariners World Series, dude. That would be so fun to watch. So fun. All right, okay, all right, Mister MLB. Who you got?
I'll go with Blake first.
You would say that when I put you on freaking screen. Damn.
Uh, give me the Brewers. Johnny boy, it's your turn.
Okay. Not so fast, my friends. The LA Dodgers in 6. Clayton Kershaw is going to come in and dominate and get a World Series title before it's all said and done before he retires. And Mookie Betts, Cody Rushing. Let's go, Dodgers. Let's go. Win it all.
He did all that just just to wear a hat.
Yeah, all that. All that. Just to hold on, man.
I did it for The Rock. I did it.
That's what John reminds me of right there. Is freaking Rikishi saying, "I did it for the Rock." That's what John reminds me of right there. All for a hat, and then he takes the hat off. That's what doesn't make any sense even more. Anyway, I mean, John, you know what? Your Dodgers pick is not crazy. I mean, it's also not really going out on much of a limb considering what they won it all last year, and what the year before. But I mean, hey, I mean that's like saying, "Hey,
You got to do it
go
for
Ohio
Kershaw and
State. Let's
Mookie
see if
Betts,
they
my
can do it
friend.
again." Right?
You got to do it for Freddie.
Huh?
You got to do it for Mookie. And you got to do it for Kershaw.
Or the Mariners could do it for the Griffies. Everybody could walk around with their hat on backwards. I'm down for it, man. I'm down for it. All right, let's jump over to the NFL, man, because I got to talk about a team that absolutely just, man, they suck, dude.
You
They're
mean the Jets?
terrible, and to make it worse, it's my favorite team. The Titans, they're god awful. Brian Callahan, I don't know how this man still has a job. I said very similar things about another guy we're going to talk about later in the show, Trent Dilfer. Trent Dilfer no longer has a job at UAB. And yes, I said UAB. But now I don't expect Brian Callahan to have a job very much longer. Who do you hire? I don't care. You can go hire Sam Pittman for all I care. You can go hire whoever you want. I do not. You call James Franklin, call whoever. You can call Larry Porter. You can hire whoever you want. Just please, dear God, get this man out of here. Please get him out. I just need Brian Callahan gone. I'm just done with it. But Blake, what's your thoughts on? Let me get your thoughts on the Titans, and then secondly, what's a game or team, either one, that stood out to you this week?
All right, give me once. My internet connection is going crazy right now, so I'm gonna get out and come back in.
Man, I do not miss South Arkansas internet, John, at all. Blake, I feel it, buddy. You already know. You already know, brother. I feel it. All right, I'm gonna toss him out right quick, John. Give me your thoughts on first off the Tennessee Titans and how much longer this Brian Callahan crap is going to last, and secondly, give me a team that stood out to you so far.
To your point regarding the Titans, 34 yards from Tony Pollard, no offensive line whatsoever. 3-13 on third downs today. Um, I call this a total train wreck. What's going on in Nashville? To your point, also, but to your point on how much longer he has, I mean, you don't get a bye week until week 10. So are you basically going to try to survive without him or survive with him until week 10? I don't know because you got the Patriots, you got the Colts, and then you got the Chargers. That's 3 losses right there in my book. So 1-8 going into bye week. I think that's when you pull the plug. Just go ahead and do it on bye week because it's not going to get any better. You're not going to win division. You're not going to the playoffs. So go ahead and just pull the plug then. But to me, the team that stood out this week was let's do the Seattle Seahawks 20, Jacksonville 12. I just think traveling the way from Seattle to Jacksonville and Jacksonville, Blake and Wes, they've been Jacksonville's been playing great ball the last two ball games. So for Seattle to get that big win on the road, I think it stood out to me. And then whoever's a Cowboy fan out there, man, Carolina. I know Carolina's 3-3 right now, but if you're Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, you just cannot lose to a Carolina team that's been struggling all season in the previous years. And Jerry Jones is another loser, in my opinion, this week as well for getting fined the way he did for flipping off those fans last week.
I mean, that's just having your head up your ass, is all that is. Sorry, excuse my French, whatever you want to call it. The Titans lost 20-10 today. Currently, right now, Chiefs lead Lions 27-17 with 3:21 left to go in the fourth quarter. Tomorrow night's action, you got doubleheader, a twofer tomorrow night, John. Monday Night Football, 4-1 Bills travel down to dirty hot Atlanta to take on the Falcons, 2-2 on the season. That game's on ESPN, aka ESPN, 6:15 kickoff time. Then on ABC, you got the Bears, 2-2, traveling over to Washington to take on the Commanders at 3-2. That game's on ABC starting at 7:15. John, you talked about the Seahawks' big win traveling down to Jacksonville. Jacksonville just recently got a huge win over Kansas City. I want to talk about a game that took place over the pond that was just abysmal. 13-12, the Broncos beat the Jets. That doesn't even sound like a freaking football score to me. Looks like we got Blake. Hold on. Do we have Blake back in here? We may have Blake back in here. Blake, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Well,
Spotlight's on you now, Blake.
Blake.
I see
Yeah, it is.
everything.
Spotlight's
See
on
my
you,
big
buddy.
head.
So when you look at the Broncos and Jets today, does it get any worse than that in the NFL? 13-11?
Yeah, and that was it was an early game, so I don't know if y'all watched it, but that right before halftime, that was weird with the Jets. And I know it was fourth down; they were just trying to let the clock run down, but at least try like a Hail Mary or something to try and get some points. I forgot the receiver's name, but he was yelling at Coach Glenn. But yeah, it's not a good time for the Jets, and I don't know if the Jets and Titans play each other, but if they do, it is not must watch TV.
But how do
I mean,
you?
I'm not going to be that guy, but I don't want to watch the Titans the rest of the
Yeah.
season. I just don't. I don't care to watch it. It's bad football. Anybody that knows me knows there's one thing I hate, and that's bad football. Ugly football, stupid football. I can't do it, man. I can't
Anybody know
do it.
that how they got 10 minus 10 passing yards still? I'm still trying to figure that out.
I
Well,
don't.
I guess
For anybody out there, look, Tyler, I know Tyler Harris is watching. Hang on, let me pull this, guys. Tyler, I'm not putting your daggum. Here we go. I'll put this one up. There you go. You're welcome, Tyler. There you go. Go Vols and go Tigers. Just because I know Tyler's a Tiger fan, I'm not putting no freaking. There you go. I'll put this one up. Good old Ricky Top, Tennessee. I like that, Tyler. Ricky Top. I like that, Ricky Top. I may steal that one. And to Tyler's point right here, yeah, the Titans still suck. Unfortunately, 100% Tyler. They do suck. They're terrible. But by the way, thank you for watching, buddy. I appreciate your support. Tyler's been a loyal guy since really before day one. And I will tell you this: if y'all want a guy who is a wrestling, no pun intended, but a wrestling fiend, it's Tyler Harrison. The boy's nuts with it. All right. All right. Let's jump over to college football, as I feel like week 7 really delivered. You had some upsets, you had some wild things happen, but then you had some coaches that just did not
Bonsoir.
They just didn't make it. We saw Oregon State let go of their head coach today. We saw Penn State let go of their head coach today, James Franklin. And then we saw tonight, this evening, whatever, Trent Dilfer let go at UAB. We're going to talk about it at the end of the show. But before we get into the Southwest Airlines scores of the week, I want to kind of go quickly around a roundtable real quick on this. When it comes to Penn State specifically, why now? I mean, the man had a 70% winning record at Penn State. Penn State is not in the situation they're in today without James Franklin. Let's not forget what happened. We won't have to rehash it, but let's not forget what happened. And then Bill O'Brien came in, cleaned it up, and then ran to the NFL. So as we start this college football segment, John, I'll start with you. What do you think? Why now?
I just think the big boosters got tired of difficult losses, tired of him making excuses in the press conferences why they lost. Just tired of them going 6-6 overall in his tenure in bowl games from 2014 onward, all the way till last year when they went 2-1, in the playoff, whatnot. Um, I just think that's probably why they're doing it right now. I just think the big boosters are just tired of his excuses, and I can just tell with the body language on the field the last couple of games as well that he's just not into it as he used to be. Maybe this day and age in college football, like we talked about with other coaches, maybe their time is ready to go. In other words, regarding this, um, so I think that's why they do the time is now, because I just think they're just tired of him making excuses, especially last week, like we talked about. He's blaming the East to the West Coast. Well, guess what? Other teams are doing it, and they're doing pretty well at it. And his name is Indiana Hoosier football coach too. So yeah,
Kurt Signetti. Google him. He wins. Blake, what about you, man? I know Blake loves Kurt Signetti.
Oh yeah, I do. I really do. But going back to James Franklin, I think he's had time to prove that he can win the big one. I mean, there's no doubt he's a great football coach. Going back to his days at Vanderbilt, he was in bowl games at Vanderbilt. He's a great coach, but Penn State, the boosters, the people paying these big NIL money, just got tired of him not winning that big one. And the big one this year was the Oregon game, which went to overtime. I mean, you think about it, what, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, they win that overtime game. Who knows? Who knows what Penn State's at right now? But that's just kind of, as John said, there's a lot shorter leash nowadays than there used to be, because it's not about developing talent anymore, because you are paying for your players, and if you don't produce that in that 1 year, it's pretty much over with.
but to your point, Wes,
Yeah, I
also I am
agree. And
surprised they didn't do it during bye week.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I was shocked when I saw it come across my phone today, which was about,
12,
I don't
15,
know,
12:30.
what time was it? 12. It was about noon, I guess. 11:58. I guess is what the official time was. And I mean, and from what I've read, and I've talked to a couple people, but he was informed of this within the 11 o'clock hour. It's not like, you know, they told him last night, hey, we're going to can your ass. We're not going to say anything about it until tomorrow. Like the athletic director was like, hey, we're going in a different direction. It's shocking, man. And to John's point, he's right. You can't. The leash is essentially zero. I mean, there basically is no leash. And that leads us to the Southwest Airlines scoreboard scores of the week.
Now, we take a trip across the nation with the Southwest Airlines scoreboard. Who won? Who lost? Who cares? We fly around and find out.
Now my internet wants to jack around. All right. It's time to take a flight. Let's head around. All right, let's start with Ohio State, number one team in the country. Rightfully so. They haven't lost. But Ohio State 34-16 over Illinois as Brett Bielema in the Fighting Illini suffered their second loss of the year. Speaking of Kurt Signetti, 30-20 over Oregon. Big time road win for Indiana. As you can Google him, he's a winner. Speaking of Penn State, as we talked about James Franklin getting canned, they lost at home to Northwestern, 22-21. John, if you took the over in the Iowa-Wisconsin game, which the over was 34.5, by the way, you hit it, and only one team scored in the entire game. 37-0 Iowa over Wisconsin, as Luke Fickell could be staring down a pink slip in Wisconsin. But as we continue this, let's look around the country. I know we've all got some games that stood out to us. So, John, I'll start with you. What game stood out to you from Week 7 in college football?
Let me start out with Navy coming back and rallying over Temple. The reason I'm bringing Navy Temple up, Navy still has a shot at the playoff. People are like, what? Well, guess what? They're still undefeated, right? So whenever you see a South Florida, whenever you see a Memphis, whenever you see a Navy, whenever you see a UNLV, those are the four teams right now after North Texas losing to South Florida the other night. Those are the four teams that very well could have a shot at making the playoffs. So a crazy inning, as you guys know, 4th and 1 from like the 49-yard line of their own 49-yard line. Of course, Navy likes to bring the tackle over and block, right? So next thing you know, the quarterback run for 51 yards out to win the ball game. But also another thing is though, they didn't go for the tie for the extra point. They went for two and got it. So that's how Navy won 32-31. That's what I'm happy to see Navy win that because I think they definitely needed that before the true road games happened in the conference they got to worry about. But overall, Michigan losing to Southern Cal was not really a surprise because Southern Cal was favored by 1.5. Southern Cal won 31-13, 14-7 at half, and I think the pressure kind of got to Bryce Underwood, the freshman quarterback at Michigan. The reason I'm saying that is because 109 rushing, 207 passing, but two interceptions thrown in Los Angeles, where there's probably more Michigan fans than they do have Southern Cal fans in that game. But the total thing that dominated me was for that Southern Cal game was 6-12 on third downs for Southern Cal and 224 rushing yards by the running back coach Anthony Jones Jr. and company. So credit to USC Trojans. They got a big win. They are now 5-1, and they got Notre Dame this week coming up, and then the Big Ten schedule I think kind of favors them a little bit going the rest of the way. Maybe win maybe like 8 or 9 games this year, like we talked about in preseason West.
It's a good point. It's a great point, John. And those are two games that, especially in the Navy Temple game. I mean, the way that game ended, you look at Heidenreich, that guy. Look, if you are looking for a player that's one to build a team around, the style of play it reminds me a lot of Scatterboo, or as John calls him, Scooby Doo. But big time ball player. Two great games there, John. Blake, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm gonna, as always, head down to the SEC uh, with the almost upset of Washington State over Ole Miss, but Ole Miss kind of turned it around. Washington State was a 33-point underdog and had Ole Miss on the ropes at home. And Lane Kiffin wants to get up there and says we had the same energy as our student section and things like that. You know, every year Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss they would drop a game that they're not supposed to. But I think they were just kind of looking ahead toward the Georgia matchup this coming week. So that's one of my games. The other game was obviously Indiana and Oregon. Those teams that have to fly across country usually don't do too well, but with you know with old Kurt Signetti going over to Oregon, showing that his team can travel across country. I think Indiana's a for sure playoff team right now. Um, they obviously jumped up to number three, I think, in the polls, number 3 or 4 in the polls this week. So, but those are my 2 games that stood out.
To Blake's point, I like that Washington State fans travel to Oxford. Great point regarding that game because looking at the videos I saw, I'm like, that's second to none right there for Washington State fans to travel that far in distance wise. Also, and to Lane Kevin's point, his offense did look like the student section, like 50 to 60%. They used it pretty much the whole ball game. Talking to a season ticket holder this morning, I'm not going to name him due to personal reasons, but he kind of said it kind of reminded him of the Kentucky game from last year, where that game could really gone either way. So to his point, I could see it, and also bring like Blake brought up them looking ahead to Georgia next week. I think was also a factor for the Ole Miss Rebels. But yeah, credit. I want to give Washington State a lot of credit. They've had a tough schedule non-conference too, man. Like you said, West or Blake, 33.5 point underdogs, and they got blown out by North Texas. But to go to an SEC team and only lose by 3, you got to give Washington State a lot of credit as well.
That's a really good point. My 2 games start with the Red River rivalry. Texas got the win 23-6. Big time win for the Longhorns, as this game could really propel them for the rest of the year. Total yards 304 to 258. 3 turnovers for the Sooners. I talked about it extensively on the latest Mental Toughness podcast, but John Mateer came out 20 of 38. At one point in time, that hand that he had surgery on was actually bleeding during the game. Matter of fact, this game's on SEC Network right now if you guys want to flip over to it if you want to watch. But obviously that hand is not right. Obviously that thumb is not right. If you're Oklahoma, like I said on the show, there was no reason for him to play besides the fact that he was under pressure. There's obviously he was pressured to play in that game. That's just my opinion based on everything I've seen. There's no reason that young man should have played. And then they went and got their ass kicked 23-6. Texas spanked them. Big win for Texas. Big win for Texas. Big win for Sark. And a pretty daunting loss for Venerables and the Sooners. Second game is another one that was a pretty daunting loss, and it's one that some people didn't see coming. I did. I saw it coming. That's the Pitt Panthers, man. 34-31 win on the road at Florida State. Florida State is now 3-3. This team's gone from the beginning of the season knocking off Alabama in convincing fashion, and many people, myself included at the time, thinking, okay, this could be shades of the 2023 FSU program. And now, just a few short weeks later, they're now 3-3, 3 consecutive losses, 8 consecutive losses in the ACC, by the way, for the Seminoles. And you've got a seat that's hot. Mike Norvell's seat's hot, especially considering what happened today in Happy Valley, considering they paid out 49 point whatever, $50 million buyout just like that. No problem. So Norvell can have whatever buyout he wants. It doesn't matter. That seat is hot, and I can tell you that. I know that for a fact. But big time win for Pitt. Now 4-2, two wins away from a bowl. And you look at Florida State, struggled, man. Really, really, really struggled. Thomas Castellanos did throw for 245, 3 touchdowns, 16 to 23. A few of these touchdowns, he's just rolling out to the left and he's just throwing the ball up. He's just throwing the ball up. I don't understand if that can't be an offensive play. No doubt. But let's go ahead and jump over to that. That is my two
regarding that
games.
Florida State game
Oh,
real quick.
Yeah.
To your point, Pittsburgh also started a true freshman in this game. Yeah, he's threw 2 picks in the first half, but the show, like Florida State fans, just need to be a little bit louder, I guess, maybe also. But just the way that Pittsburgh had his true freshman that game as well, that started the quarterback play. Let me say this regarding Florida State, man. Like they go out west to Stanford at Stanford. Late kickoff, 9:30 Central Time, 7:30 on the West Coast. But think about it, if he wins that game, 4-3, right? But he's got a bye week right after that. But he hosts Wake Forest, an improved Wake Forest team, I think, as well a little bit. They're going to football a little bit more now. But man, at Clemson, home for Virginia Tech, at North Carolina State, and at Florida for Mike Norvell the remaining schedule. So we know North Carolina State's always a tough place to play at, and we know Florida's always going to be ready for Florida State. But man, I'd like you right now. I just think his seat is a little bit hotter. I could very well see maybe 3 more losses on the schedule. So 6-6 will not put it down in Tallahassee for Mike Norvell, especially when you brought Gus Miles on, and offensive guru, you call it, on your staff.
Yeah, if you look at Gus Malzahn's track record, him being brought in as an offensive coordinator does not always end well for that head coach. Just think about that. All right, man, let's go ahead and head to the stock market.
It is time to see some stocks. We present the SoapBox Company Stock Market, where we find out what coach is on the way up or down.
I'm a man! I'm 40!
All right, man, it's time for a little stock up, stock down, stock market sports, presented to you by SportsBox. One-stop shop for all parents. Have kids playing football, baseball, basketball, golf, lacrosse, volleyball. Head to sportboxcompany.com/4starsports for more, as these monthly subscription boxes keep your kids looking good, playing good, and smarter, as they have training aids for all ages as well. All right, let's go ahead and start there. John, I'll start with you, man. What's your stock up for this week?
Well, I got 2 of them, so I'll make it quick. Willie Fritz at Houston. I know they beat a not so good team in Arkansas or Oklahoma State yesterday. But Willie Fritz is now 5-1 on the year, 2-1 in the conference. Right now, finishing 6th as the season ended today, where a lot of people had him finishing like last or dead last this year in the conference. And also, me and you were talking about this, man. 5-1 for the Cincinnati Bearcats. Big win over Iowa State last week. Big win again this week. So Scott Satterfield, a lot of people were going to say that he was going to be on the hot seat this year because of his losing record, and whatnot, the way he ended the year last year. But Cincinnati starting out the year off 5-1 is really impressive. So those are my 2 stock up coaches right now in the Big 12.
Nice, man. I got 2 stock ups. Let me start with Kyle Whittingham in Utah. Big time win for the boys, the Utes. Kyle Whittingham potentially in his last season as a head coach. Rumor has it that he could be going away. And then my other stock up is Dabo Sweeney. I know that's going to sound crazy, right? But Dabo maneuvering through some crazy waters this year, 2025, back to 3-3. And I'll talk about another coach involved in that game when we talk stock down. But Blake, what's your 2 stock up for this week?
Yeah, my first one is obviously South Florida coach Ooh, my mic's for all right. Alex Golish. With every head coaching job that's open, his name is always mentioned, and of course, he helped us stock this past week with a 63-36 win over North Texas, and then that could potentially set up for a Memphis versus South Florida showdown here in a couple weeks. But yeah, I think he's got experience with being at Tennessee, so he's got some SEC experience. So any SEC job that comes open, he will obviously be tied to that job. And then one of mine's going to be Sarkeesian for kind of getting himself off of what I would call a little hot seat, getting that win over Oklahoma, and just looking at their schedule, it's going to kind of work out well for Texas. They're going to be favored in probably every game except maybe that Georgia game coming up in a couple weeks.
Very nice, very nice. My stock down as I start the stock down segment. My stock down is going to be Bill O'Brien at Boston College. Currently 1-5 on the season. I understand they're battling some injuries, but I don't know how much longer. I mean, I like Bill O'Brien. I think he fits. Obviously, he fits Boston College. He's been there now. It's his second stint there as a head coach. But Bill O'Brien is my stock down. John, what about you?
Stock down. G.J. Kinney in Texas State is one of them. I'm gonna say it because you're 0-2 in the Sun Belt, where you were predicted to win the league this year in the West. You're up 21. I'm not bashing Troy at all, but we've seen Troy struggle offensively in games past. But you're up 21-7 at home against a Troy football team, and you lose the game 48-41 in overtime to Troy. You totally dominated the game from a stat point of view. Also, 326 rushing yards. So, man, to lose that game the way you did, I think that's a stock down moment for you, GJ Kinney and the Texas State Bobcats. Another one, they had a chance to pull a good win last night, late night edition. Arizona Wildcats coach Brent Brennan right now at Arizona. You had the game won against BYU. BYU rallied in the fourth quarter, took the game to double overtime, and BYU won the game. I know Brent Brennan was on the hot seat coming in. I feel like right now, if he don't finish like ninth or better in the Big 12 this year, his seat is definitely going to get hotter throughout the year.
It's a good point, man. That's a guy that I really hadn't thought about. That's a great point. Blake, what about you on your stock down?
My stock down is actually two coaches who will be playing against each other this coming up week. That is Brent Venables at Oklahoma and Shane Beamer at South Carolina. This is the second year in a row South Carolina started 3-3. So at what point is it the offensive coordinators? Is it their fault? I mean, seems like he cannot hire a great offensive coordinator for the beginning of the season. You don't want to go 3-3 and then win out the rest of your games for the year. And then Venables, there's a chance Oklahoma does not win a game the rest of the year. I mean, it's a small chance, but if they don't win this weekend, watch out because before the season, Venables' seat was kind of hot, and I know some people down at South Carolina, they're not too happy with Beamer right now because he's got a lot of talent on that offensive side of the ball, and it's just not producing points.
Well, Beamer did fire his offensive line coach today, so
I was just about to say he did fire his offensive line coach today. Also, one more stock down for me is Hugh Freeze. Now look, I know what this means. By the way, for those of y'all that can't see the screen or listening, I'm doing a timeout motion, aka Kirby Smart. Talking about I'm clapping. No, they may have been clapping, but you wasn't clapping, coach. You were calling a timeout. And then he skirted around it by going, I didn't even need to call a timeout there. Well, that's great that you didn't need to, but you did. There was some questionable calls in that game. Did the guy score before the ball got punched out? Was the guy down? Did Kirby call timeout? But and this is more than just Auburn. Really, there's a lot of inept offenses across the country. Here's the thing. I don't care how bad your team's defense is. If you cannot score points throughout the 4 quarters of a game, you're not going to win. It's just simple as that. There's a lot of people in Fayetteville, Arkansas, where I live, that are bashing this defense about how just brutally bad they are. Arkansas scored in the second quarter with 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. And they didn't score. I'm sorry. They scored the second quarter with like 2 minutes to go till halftime. But when you fumble the ball 4 times, you lose 3 of those, and then you only score 14 points in the second half, and that's your last 2 drives of the game, you're not setting yourself up for success. Lane Kiffin talked about it a few weeks ago, how he understands that as a play caller, he has to call a game from an offensive perspective to put his defense in the best position they can be, to be as successful as they can. Hugh Freeze, we don't even know who's calling plays. Hugh's got first down, I think, and then, Jim Bob's got second down, and then somebody else has third. If they're kicking a field goal, then somebody else has that call. If they're punting, somebody has that call. I mean, it's the most complete lack of responsibility I've ever seen in my life. But that's my
15
last
total
one.
yards last two in the second half. Blake and I were texting during that
That's
game. We're
good.
like 15 total yards, bro. Like, yeah, you can make up so many excuses why Auburn could have won that game. Fumble, you name it, timeout, you name it, right? But why is Hugh Freeze not even calling a timeout also when Georgia did that 8.5 minute drive to capitalize and make it 20-10 it was, right? Why didn't Hugh Freeze call a timeout the rest of the defense? That's on Hugh Freeze in my opinion, especially 15 total yards of offense in the second half. And then Georgia just running down your throats in that 4th quarter, controlling the clock the way they did. That's just, I mean, that's the same thing how they beat Tennessee, right? That's how they beat other teams. That's how they
Yeah.
can beat people down the road. But for Hugh Freeze
Yeah.
to not call timeout or even doing any type of offense for 15 total yards in the second half is just ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's jump over to what's on the DVR, presented by SeatGeek, as we head over to SeatGeek now. If you're looking for tickets for this upcoming week, if you're looking for tickets for the rest of the season, other sports seasons, concerts, and more, head over to SeatGeek now. Create you a login. When you do find you any ticket, $50 or more. Once you find that ticket, and they're not hard to find. Once you find that ticket, type in promo code 4Star Sports Media, all capital letters. That's the number 4. Star Sports Media, all capital letters. When you do, it'll save you $20 off your first ticket purchase. So let's start with what's on the DVR, which is just a game that we have circled in the upcoming week in college football. And Blake, I will start with you.
Yeah, mine. I hate to be this way, but mine's actually going to be Arkansas and Texas A&M. I think this is a trap game for Texas A&M. Texas A&M has vaulted up into the top 5. They look good, but Texas A&M Arkansas traditionally has been a weird game. So that's the game I'm looking forward to the most, just because it could have some implications that people are not really paying attention to.
John, what about you?
I'm torn between two of them. So the first one will be Georgia Tech Duke. I think it's another, like Blake said, a trap game for Georgia Tech going to Duke. It's only 2.5 point favorite now for Duke to be favored by. So this could be a trap game for Georgia Tech. But another game, LSU traveling to Vandy and playing Vanderbilt at 11 a.m., where we've seen the history regarding 11 a.m. kickoffs, late night kickoffs at 11 a.m., I might add. Yeah, LSU traveling to Nashville, and we know what happens at 11 a.m. in Nashville when people are partying all night in Nashville.
It's a good point. It's a good point. And to Blake's point, that Texas A&M Arkansas game, Texas A&M's got to come up here. It's a tough place to come play. The line right now is 7.5. Texas A&M over under in that game is 62.5. I think you talked about Vanderbilt, LSU, big time ball game, 2.5 point spread right now, over under 49.5. Of course, there's Georgia. There's Georgia, Ole Miss. There's numerous games, but then John, you look at the early slate of games this upcoming week, and I don't know why my app decided to be slow all of a sudden, but I don't know what my app's doing. But you look at this upcoming week, man. You got Penn State. Can they bounce back? Can they bounce back against Ohio State? Is that possible? Is that possible to happen? Can Florida State get right? Can they get a win in ACC play? As they've now lost 8 in a row. There's numerous games to be circled this upcoming week, man. And it's been a fun show.
Todd
We've done
Frost
this.
versus Nick Trod, bro. 0-3,
Yeah,
both 0-3 in the league. They need
yeah,
both teams need a win down in Orlando.
it's a good point. All right, man. Let's jump to the final play presented to you by Fanatics, where you can always get the best swag, best gear for all your team needs. And that one question is, and it's a one question with a brief answer. Simple question. Who is the next coach to be shown the door? John, what's your thoughts?
People want to say Sun. I brought this up last week with you. Sun Belt Conference. So many coaches, I think that very well could have their seat either hot or warmer. But I think the coach that comes to mind, I really think it very well could be Butch Jones. I know he's on that contract extension last year in Jonesboro, but man, it's just you came back and beat the Texas State squad, but you're 2-5 right now. You're fighting for your bowl eligibility streak once again at Arkansas State. So I'm gonna go ahead and say maybe Butch Jones out of Jonesboro, maybe.
I like that. I like that one. That's a good one. Um, and it's one that it's Billy Napier.
You call it Tyler.
I just
Perfect timing.
do what?
So Tyler Harrison said Sunbelt Billy right as soon as you said Billy.
Yeah, I think he's going to be next. To Tyler Harrison's point. Thank you for watching again on Tyler over on YouTube. But I think it's going to be Billy Napier. I mean, come on now. We obviously know a change is going to come. When is the question? I think it's coming pretty soon. But appreciate everyone watching and listening. This is the Sports Buffet. We're one-stop shop where all things sports. You get a plate full every time because it's more than one sport here. That's why we call it the Sports Buffet. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But that's going to wrap up the show. And we got to thank our partners, Athletic Brewing Company, Southwest Airlines, SportBox Company, SeatGeek, and Fanatics, as we'll be back coming up tomorrow with another plate full of sports. As for John Sturvett, Blake Hogue, and all of us here at 4-Star Sports Media, I am Wes Pruitt. We appreciate everyone watching, listening, and as always, folks, just stay classy.